and boom goes the dynamite.
Happy Friday. Welcome into another edition of Daily Dive. I'm your host, Renee Washington. Our final episode of the week, which means we've got to get into picks today. Ahead of week 8, we've got 4 games slated for the weekend. Producer Mike and I are going to be diving into our thoughts around that. We've also got some breaking news coming your way, so lots to come here in the next 30 minutes on the show. So our top story presented by the Daily Dive store. If you've watched the last episodes, you know, and if you've been paying attention to NLL news, you also know it's trade news, because every single day these last couple of weeks we've had some trades, and especially with two familiar teams, the New York Riptide and Albany Fire Wolves, back in trade discussions again. This time, the Riptide trade Leo Storos to Albany for defenseman Curtis Conley. Now, Leo, 28-year-old, has had some more years in the league, we should say. Curtis, at 23 years old, actually was just signed to Albany, re-signed to Albany in August to a 2-year deal to return to the team as they added him back. And he did a little bit of everything in his rookie season. We saw him with 13 loose balls, 6 turnovers, 2 assists, but he's young. And that seems to be the consistent theme that we're seeing with a lot of these trades that are around the Riptide, as Albany brought back Curtis and then traded him this week to the Riptide. So producer Mike, welcome into the show. I am interested in your thoughts on what we've been seeing from the Riptide. It seems to be very consistent with all of these moves, all of these trades being for the future, being to bring in youth, and being to build around Jeff T, possibly.
Possibly. Can I take a shot at the Riptide PR guy for a minute here? Or at least the Riptide social media manager, because he or she has gone on, after I've kind of bragged using our account that we did break this news last night at 9:45. They did not break it till 30 minutes ago. And they were like, look at the insiders, so cute. We are insiders, pal. And why are you guys just trading away a bunch of youth? Now, granted, they did add, they also received a 2025 third-round pick. So here's a little mini clap for you guys, but I don't know what's going on. It's almost like panic mode. I do like that the guy they got is bigger, because I kind of want my defenders to be a little bit taller. So maybe that does help, but they're punting this year. Let's just get over that fact. I know that a fan commented, hey, they're fighting hard. Like, oh, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, You make a couple great points there. One, on the height size, yes, Curtis at 6'1", Leo around 5'9", so you do get somebody that's got a little bit more size, but also more youth. And as you're talking about building for the future of the Riptide, you're bringing in players that are in their first, second, third year within the league. Shows a lot about the longevity of what they're hoping these moves will help with. But as you mentioned, it's interesting because for teams, and I've worked in the NLL, I've worked in leagues, I've worked with teams, and there's actually protocol where they're not allowed to be the ones to break things right away. They know, obviously, the trade, but it has to work through a series of steps before they can officially announce it. So that's why you have the Ian Rappaports and the Wojs and the breaking news people across sports breaking news, because they're allowed to do it. When you're not affiliated with the team in the league, you can break the news. So we are breaking the news because you guys haven't announced it yet. You know of it. It's already been in discussion. But until they finalize the deal, the terms, they cross the T's and dot the I's, they can't actually put out a PR statement about it. So it's always interesting, and that's quite a tweet. But I'm glad they're paying attention, more importantly, that Daily Dive is breaking news, is bringing the most up-to-date stories, topics, trade details right here each and every day.
Amen. And I have a question for you about this Riptide thing. Like, at what point do they just realize we just want the number 1 pick in the draft? Like, think about this. How much some of these players have not played at all this season.
Yeah.
Like, that's an issue.
Yeah.
I'm up for the future. In 5 years, they might bring this back up, and that's fine. But this does not look good for the immediate, we sell less than 4,000 tickets crowd right now.
It's very much reminding me of when the New York Knicks got rid of Carmelo and brought in all these young players, and we're building around and RJ Barrett and all these young players. And it took them time, and they're still not even there. Because you don't know how these players are going to pan out. This is the hard part. As athletes, at 21, 22, you can say 23, they're young, but we have no idea how their career is going to progress. Whereas when you have a veteran, this is the value of veteran adds. Not only do they add leadership and experience, having played more seasons in the league and hopefully some postseason experience as well, but you know what they're about. When you look at the vets across the league, Callum Crawford's a great example. We already know what we're going to get from Callum Crawford. We don't know what we're going to get from him 10 years from now, but we don't know what we're going to get from a Curtis Conley 10 years from now either. So I think the hard part is you're really taking a gamble that these players are going to pan out and reach that ceiling that you're hoping, and you have no idea. And the other hard part when you have such a young team, Mike, is who's leading, who's driving the ship, who's steering us. You need leaders, you need veterans that are going to be the ones to help groom and teach and mold the younger guys so that they can reach that potential. So I'm all for youth, but it's got to be balanced with leadership, and even having a veteran coach, veteran front office. They don't have all those pieces. So I don't know, Mike. We'll keep an eye on this. The trades continue in New York, and it'll be interesting. Quickly want to get your thoughts on this before we move into our picks for the weekend, and share the article that came out for Inside Lacrosse. Now, we've had Cooper Perkins on our show before, does a tremendous job. And with this piece, talking about how just looking at the Western Conference specifically, and they by the metrics, how the West was sorted piece breaks down that Saskatchewan is the most likely to win the Western Conference. Now, there are many reasons why they list that. It's based on data from laxmetrics.com. It's based on more than just the numbers and the analytics, but it's also based on performance, what's been seen. We've talked on the show here a lot about our thoughts on each team coming into week 8. Are you in agreement with this? Do you feel like Saskatchewan is the most well-balanced team as of today that you see primed to be able to win the Western Conference, Mike?
First of all, I want to give a shot. I think Cooper Perkins, if there's like a front runner for NLL Media Person of the Year, I think it's Cooper Perkins right now. Like, he's doing amazing work with those stats. He made a good point about the 1-goal games, which is obviously was damning to their last season, and they don't want to repeat that. I kind of like the Seals because I've seen like this with NBA teams before where they have like a really good offense and they just have to want to play defense. Mm-hmm. I feel like if I'm like, because the whole thing was Seals don't have defense right now. Mammoth don't seem to have an offense, and rightfully so with, Ryan Lee being gone right now. The Roughnecks rely on the long ball, which is like, that's going to be figured out. I kind of like the fact the Seals are having an electric offense, and they just lock down a little bit. If their goalie, if Chris Riglieri can start this consistent train that Frank Scigliano once had, I kind of like the Seals to give the Rush hell. But for now, I kind of agree the Rush are a good team, but something about those clutch games, you got to win those. You have to. You played good enough to win all 4. You haven't won all 4. You're 500.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Rush, they are at the 500 mark. 2 games that they lose in overtime. As you talk about close games, struggling to close out close games. And so that's something that's a concern to me. I know it's only 4 games you've played. It's only 2 losses. But still, that's something that you have to keep an eye on. We only have what we see so far to go off of. So I do agree with the fact that they might right now look like the most well-balanced team. A team like the Mammoth, we don't really know who's the guy, right now with just waiting. Offensively, who's the guy that down the stretch you can rely on? They've got the more stability there, especially defensively. Calgary's a team that kind of is like the middle child, they remind me of, disruptive, but I don't think they have enough to be the ones that are leading the East. But I think they're going to be a team that's always a pain to play against, especially with how Christian Del Bianco's playing between the pipes. So yes, I see the Rush having one of the more balanced teams, but you can't overlook offense. And the Seals having a top offense in the league right now. Their offensive rating is through the charts. It not only does it say that they don't maybe like to defend, but maybe they're just not used to defending. Like I've been on teams where you're scoring so much, like you just kind of get complacent with that. And now your defense doesn't have to do as much once you're up, but the problem is the Seals, go down and they trail and they give up early goals and they dig themselves in holes, and that rhymes. But also they haven't figured out who's going to be like, but defensively between the pipes and goal, they still have some consistency pieces there that need to be figured out. So I think for them, it's just a shift. Okay, our offense is solid, clearly. Let's lock in and focus on and have goals for getting shutouts in quarters, not trailing, seeing if you can get your defense on the right page, because offensively they've got it. So I think they have the most potential, but I do think the Rush right now look the most balanced, which is what we've seen from them in terms of the consistency. But you can argue the opposite since they've dropped some close games.
One thing I'd say, my last thing I'll say is there's a lot of defensemen being traded right now. I wonder if the Seals make a splash. Ha! Pun intended. No, but I wonder if the Seals, have something to trade here pretty soon. Nothing huge, but just a strong defenseman. Like, because when the Bandits got Adam Bomberry, I'm sure the Seals wanted him too.
The Seals may be looking to make a splash. I like the pun there. I absolutely agree with you, Mike. I think with all the trades going on, if I'm San Diego, I'm taking a look at what we've got so far, what we've been seeing. We need to get more consistency defensively. That's been their Achilles heel so far. What does that look like? And how can we make that happen? So lots to keep an eye on. I'm looking forward to seeing how the East layout is written about and what comes out there for Inside the Cross and our buddy Cooper Perkins. But for now, we'll keep an eye on Saskatchewan and San Diego being the front runners possibly of the West, and how it continues to unfold. So as we watch things unfold, what better way to do so than through the games this weekend? We've got game predictions coming your way here on Daily Dive in just a moment, looking ahead to our Week 8 picks presented by Fanatics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Daily Dive. We've been discussing here, producer Mike and myself, Renee Washington, more trade news out of New York and with the Albany Firewolves and New York Riptide, and then also getting into the breakdown of the West. Well, let's break down the games now. Our Daily Dive predictions and our picks are presented by Fanatics, and we've got lots to look into here. Looking ahead at Week 8, Fanatics, the link is in our link tree. In our social media bios, where you can check out some merch to shop through. Now, this is by far the most exciting game of the weekend. Because there's another one that I'm actually really looking forward to as well. But of course, having to be our Daily Dive game of the week, two of the top teams in the league as the Buffalo Bandits take on the undefeated Rochester Nighthawks. We've been talking a lot about how much strength of schedule and results and standings are true. This is the test. So, Mike, your thoughts on who wins our Daily Dive game of the week between the Bandits and the Nighthawks?
Yeah, this is like if I had to buy the metrics stat, it would be the strength of schedule, right? No. I'm going to go with a team, the three-headed monster, the big three, whatever you want to call it. I'm going with the Buffalo Bandits. I also like the over 23.5. I feel like if the Bandits are going to win this game, I know Matt Vince should be on it. He's playing at a goalie of the year level again. I feel like they got to get to Ryland Hartley, and I feel like they will. I know it doesn't sound good for Rochester fans, but Buffalo just, they just came from Buffalo. Like, it's not Buffalo to Rochester, New York, same thing. I'm kidding. You get it. I'm going to go with the Bandits to win this game by probably 2 or 3 goals, but I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than Rochester would like.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I've gone back and forth about this. I've got a coin here because this is a coin flip type of a game. as you mentioned, it's not really a far trip. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of Bandits fans that are going to be making the trek to go support. This is going to be the ultimate test. Rochester has been winning by committee. Rylan Hartley's been playing great, and they've been defensively very, very sound. The Bandits have had that three-headed juggernaut of Dehoga, Josh, and Dane, but also some other pieces that have been stepping up. Matt Vince is always incredible in net, and they're absolutely a favorite. And I'm gonna flip a coin. I don't know how well I'm gonna do with Rochester as heads and Buffalo as tails. I'm gonna close my eyes, and I'm really not good at a coin flip. Oh, who did I say was tails?
You said tails was Bandits.
Yeah, it was like a rhetorical question because I've had tails.
Woo!
Order doesn't lie. That was a really, really unathletic looking coin flip. Thankfully there's no replay of that one. I'm gonna go Bandits. I'm gonna go Bandits.
Yay!
I don't even know. I don't even want to pick for this game. Game number 2, Warriors at the Desert Dogs. Round 2. Ding, 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 ding. Last week it was Vancouver that won. This week they get to face off again in Las Vegas. The Desert Dogs still seeking their first win of the season. Vancouver off of their very first win of the season. Do they make it win number 2?
Oh, hell no. No, sorry, Vancouver. It's not happening. We're going with the Desert Dogs. And I actually like the under. I know people are going to say, well, it's 19-16 last week. Yeah, well, that was in Vancouver. I feel like Vegas, the fact they had some offense was nice. But I'm going to go with the Desert Dogs, rough it up, bring them to the doghouse, and show them how it's done. I'm going to go with like 12-10 doggies. Oh, exactly.
Let me give a little more bass in that. I didn't see Vancouver winning last week. And I really thought that the Desert Dogs were going to knock them off. It was a shootout, which I also was surprised about. But it was a great game. And I think this one does go to Vegas. I'm gonna give them the upper hand. It's tough. It's always tough to beat a team back-to-back. I've said that every time we have a back-to-back, and every time I've been semi-correct. But I'm going to go with the Desert Dogs on this one, and I think it's going to be another close game. But I think this time, being at home, being that they're still chasing that first win and they can taste it, I think it's going to be Vegas with the eye of the tiger, smelling blood and going for the win.
Smell those dog treats at the end of the tunnel.
I couldn't think of a good dog pun for that one. They're going to get the bone. Like, I don't even know. Like, dogs coming out of the doghouse and getting the victory. Let's go with that one. But those are our Friday night games. We've got some games on Saturday as well. So let's get into those final games right after this break with our final 2 picks of the weekend. Stay tuned for more on Daily Dive. Welcome back to Daily Dive, where we don't have great puns, but we try. I'm your host, Renee Washington, with producer Mike. We're giving our Week 8 picks. We picked for the first 2 games actually the same. Both of us picking the Bandits, which I'm still going back and forth about. The Bandits to knock off the Nighthawks and hand them their first loss of the season. And then the Desert Dogs winless no more and beating the Warriors. Well, our final picks are presented by B-Res Coffee for all of you coffee lovers out there that are looking for some great coffee. You can definitely take advantage of B-Res Coffee to help you get through the Monday to Friday grind. Those long days don't have to be so long with B-Res Coffee. elevating your daily routine. It's our go-to coffee here, and to check it out for yourself, you can see the link in our bio to get a sample to try some B-Res coffee. Well, I think we're going to get a sample this weekend of some great things to come in the Rock Wings game. Two middle-of-the-pack teams, two teams we don't talk enough about. And the Rock heading here to Philly, the city of brotherly love, to face the Philadelphia Wings. Mike, who you got in this game? Who do you think is going to be walking away victorious?
Right. So I really want to give a shout out to Sam LeClaire, who I got to interview on Wednesday. He was awesome. He had his head in the right place. And again, it's one of those guys who's younger than me, so I can't get that out of my own head. But he talked really awesome about playing with Trevor Baptiste and Ben McIntosh and, of course, Joe Restitaritz. But Tom Schreiber might be my MVP if I was picking someone that wasn't a goalie this year. If the Rock win this game, I'm going to start looking at them as like a top 5 team, possibly. I think Rock get a win here, and I think the Rock cover the 1.5. Rosie. Sorry.
Yeah, from Nick Rose to Tom Schreiber up front, they've got a lot of firepower. They've got that leadership in those veterans that we've talked about needing to build a team. They've got a team that's been here, that's no stranger to NLL games. And I don't know. I originally was going to pick the Rock, and now I think I'm flipping to the other side. I'm going to go with the Wings. I think it's going to be a victorious weekend for Philadelphia sports teams. And I think the Wings I think the Wings are going to win this one, and I don't really have a great reason. Simply, I don't want to pick the same team as you again, and I'd like to be a devil's advocate, and this is a game I could take a risk on. I feel like I could see the Wings knocking off the Rock, putting some more respect on their name, being a team that more of us are talking about in the NLL, climbing the ranks a little bit. So yeah, that 7:00 game Saturday night prior to the Eagles facing off against the Giants and winning that game. I think it's all Philly today. I'm picking all Philly for the weekend. All right, our final game of the weekend, the New York Riptide versus the Albany Firewolves. I don't really know which team is which, though, because with so many trades, the Firewolves look like the Riptide look like the Firewolves. Who are these teams? Who are we actually watching? I don't know. So in this game, it's got a lot of question marks. Who's Albany? Who's the Riptide? But who are you picking to win this game, Mike?
During the break, I sent some more shots at the New York Riptide. I added them and said, for our show, are the Riptide finally going to win this weekend? No, they're not. I think I'm hoping we get some more goals scored. I really like Doug Jamieson. I think he was on our first list of NLL stars, our 3 stars of the weekend. So I'm going to go with Doug Jamieson. I'm going to go with the Firewolves. I think there's a lot more consistency there. I think the Riptide are in shambles. And I think their Twitter team is in shambles as well because we are stealing their socks over here. But listen, I'm hoping for a good game. Jeff T, can we see 1 goal? I asked you for 10 last week. Just give me 1. That's all I need. I'm good. If you score 2, it'd be like icing on the cake. I love you forever. But give me 1 goal this weekend, please. You're going to need it.
Mike is begging for a goal from Jeff T. And, again, you asked for 10, you got 1. I'm sorry, you got 0. So out of the 1-0, like, not to be a math nerd, you got half of what you asked for. You got the 0, you just forgot the 1 in front of it. Maybe this is the week it flips and you get the 1 because Jeff T has been held scoreless, has been held to low points overall in the last few games, which has been very shocking. Look, you just attacked the Riptide's team, their social media team. I just want to put it out there. It was producer Mike. I didn't do it. My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it. I think this team, though, is in shambles. There's been a lot of shakeup over the last week alone. Now, I thought that Vancouver having so many changes in their front office was going to make a difference in their game against the Desert Dogs last week, but that was more front office personnel. That's not a direct impact on the field, which is why I think they were able to kind of rally around those changes and step up to win against the Desert Dogs and have an exciting shootout type of game. These are on-field changes. These are major on-field changes. When you take players and it's like they're no longer there, they've been removed from the lineup, they're no longer in your rotation, that's an immediate impact. With a team, Mike, that is already very young, with a team, Mike, that is winless and struggling, with a team that's best player. That's also one of the best players, and according to some outlets, the best player in the NLL coming into the season, is in a slump right now. We are seeing Jeff Teat in a sophomore slump. We are seeing the Riptide struggle. And I think that this game, the struggle bus continues. They are driving the struggle bus right now. Vancouver has gotten off. They've handed over the keys to the Riptide.
Amen.
Are now driving the yellow struggle bus with some teams not far behind, including the Desert Dogs, sitting shotgun. So I think this weekend, there's my good analogy. I think this weekend, the Riptide continue their losing ways, unfortunately. Fire Wolves are a team I've also been impressed with, so I'm going to give them credit. It's not just because the Riptide are struggling. The Fire Wolves have been playing much better. I was impressed with what I've seen from them last weekend and just how they won against Halifax, and I think they're going to continue that this weekend. So I'm excited. This is actually one of the games I'm most excited to see, second behind the Bandits taking on the Nighthawks, because I'm just looking forward to seeing who are these people.
You want
who's the Fire Wolves now?
Right, exactly. Do you want to play a game real quick before we go?
A game? Oh, boy.
Just a quick game here, okay? Because I love talking about this topic. It's like one of my favorite topics, this Jeff Teat thing, okay? Not points. I'm talking about how many goals will he score this weekend. I'm going to go 2.
This is a game this should be a game.
Please,
this should be a game that Jeff Teat comes out of the scoring sophomore slump, gets a little bit more confidence, I'm going to put him at 4 goals. I want to say 3.
Okay.
I'm feeling 3, but I'm going to give him a bonus one. He's going to have 4 goals, 2 assists, but the Fire Wolves are still going to knock them off. It's going to be like a 4 or 5 goal game.
If he had 4 goals, I would come into I might find a way to purchase a Jeff Teat jersey this next weekend, okay?
You can just make one.
I love me some Jeff Teat. He is the young phenom. He needs to score goals. Listen, the alley-oops till sundown are great. The sun needs to come out for Teat, though. Come on, man.
It's time, Jeff. Mike, you are a huge fan, and I can feel the frustration. And I'm sure a lot of Jeff Teat and Riptide fans are feeling the frustration, which is probably why they're not getting the attendance numbers that they should, because it's been very, very discouraging to see the low attendance going on for the Riptide. No one's coming out to root on the Seafoam. Now, we have given our picks. Be sure to comment with your picks and share your thoughts if you agree or disagree. Wild to think that we're on the same page for these games. Either we're both right or we're both a little bit off the mark. But I'm excited to see how these games play out in week 8. So that being said, everybody, hope you have a fantastic weekend. Lots of excitement this weekend in the NLL, in the NFL. So many great games to watch. So be sure to tune in to see how our predictions pan out, especially in week 8 of NLL action. For my producer, Mike, I'm Renee Washington saying, don't forget to subscribe at Daily Dive Lax on social media to tune in each and every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, as we're breaking news, giving updates, and we do have a good luck charm here on Daily Dive where the players that join us end up doing phenomenal things, hold it, Tony. So be sure to join us to see which spectacular guest will be on the show starting on Monday as we're bringing you more live talk around all things lacrosse. Have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.